All right, today I'm going to be discussing the top mistakes that I see international students make both before and while they're in Canada. So if you're a student here or you're intending to be an international student in Canada, then this video is for you. As a student, you want to make sure you have all the right information to set yourself up for success. Studying in Canada can be an amazing experience with some life-changing opportunity attached to it, but there's also some common mistakes or traps that can catch you if you're not aware, and they can have some seriously negative consequences for you in the future. So in this video, I'm going to cover some of the most common mistakes that I see and offer some tips on how to avoid them, what you should be thinking about, or even plan for the future. So let's dive in. Number 1, enrolling in a school that is not PGWP eligible. This is a critical mistake because if you want to stay here and you want to work after your studies, you're going to need to find a DLI that is postgraduate work permit eligible. This can be found easily online by checking out the DLI list, searching out the school, and referring to the last column that will tell you if you can get a PGWP or not. Honestly, it's quite easy to check, and it's even easier as we've put the link into the description below for your reference. So, why is this important? Well, if you're looking for or planning for permanent residence in Canada, having the ability to work after your studies is key, and the PGWP or the postgrad work permit will open up many doors and give you the flexibility you need. Number 2, not maintaining your status as a full-time student. It's very dangerous and will eliminate your eligibility for a PGWP very quickly if you're not a full-time student or enrolled in full-time studies. As a student, you must study full-time to qualify for the PGWP, except in a few instances. You can study part-time, for instance, if it's your last semester, or you can take a break from studies, but it will need to be sanctioned by the school and within the appropriate timeframes. And lastly, there's some exceptions if you're changing programs as well. Anything outside of this will negate your abilities to successfully be approved for a PGWP, which may be a key part of your immigration plan, since those points are going to be key for that Canadian work experience. Number 3, the program of study is less than 8 months. Students need to find a program that is at least 8 months long to qualify for a 1-year PGWP. Most 1-year programs are actually 8 months of study, which is considered an academic year. But you may need longer to be able to qualify for immigration, and you might want to consider having a longer duration of studies or 2 programs to be able to get the maximum 3-year PGWP. Number 4, students not extending or applying for the next steps on time. If you extend your study permit, make sure you do so before the expiry. If you're applying for a PGWP, make sure you apply within 180 days of study. And if you want to transition into work right away, you must apply within 90 days, or you'll need to wait until you're approved. Again, timing is key here, and if you're strategic and smart about it, there are ways to extend your legal working status even further past these allotted work time validities, depending on when you apply. Number 5, students not pursuing their program of study entirely in Canada. Studying online in your home country may result in not being qualified for the PGWP. There were lots of provisions that were granted during COVID, but these interim policies have now come to an end for the most part. And also, if your program has a co-op requirement, then it must be done in Canada to complete the course and get the degree or diploma. Again, there have been exceptions with COVID provisions, but I always recommend studying in person and in Canada to avoid what could turn out to be an uncomfortable consequence. Number 6, students engage in unauthorized work during studies. Depending on the situation and provisions in place, students cannot work without authorization. For example, working on your co-op without a co-op work permit, or working more than the mandated 20 hours off campus as an example. Another common misconception is that you can work after you've received notice of graduation. You can only do this once you've filed your PGWP, as you're not allowed to work your usual 20 hours, as you're not actively engaged in studies. So be careful, as this is quite common and can result in a refusal, along with a 6-month ban for working without authorization. So, it's pretty serious. Number 7, not planning properly for your PR application. When you're finished your studies and working on your PGWP, make sure you're doing skilled work, as it's only skilled work that will qualify you for PR in an overwhelming majority of immigration programs. Now again, there's a few exceptions there, but overwhelmingly, it's got to be skilled work. Many students don't start the job search or find skilled employment early on during their studies. Starting the job search early can open up your options and ensure that you have employment when your studies are finished. You should also consider and prepare the other requirements, such as preparing for your English or French tests, or saving up the required proof of funds for some of the programs. Number 8, not considering the requirements for your family properly. You may or may not know that your spouse or common law partner can accompany you to Canada while you're a student. Your spouse can be given an open work permit, while your children can accompany you as a student on their own study permit or visitor record if they're not of school age. Depending on how you set this up, you can provide advantage of being approved quicker for PR by qualifying the spouse to be the principal applicant. This maximizes the points by the experience they have gained here in Canada, or maybe it might be a consideration not to bring them, as it might weaken the application. Now, I don't mean not bring them at all, but you can file them as non-accompanying. Again, there's lots of calculations that you need to take into account, and this can be a challenge if you're not ready. Again, something to consider. Number 9, not meeting the requirements of a skilled job. A PGWP is only issued once, so you must use this wisely to complete your studies. The PGWP allows you to work for any employer with no restrictions, so it's very important to work in a skilled job. Now, I understand I've touched on this briefly before, but again, we want to see that you get that 1 year of skilled work experience in Canada to qualify for PR. And on top of that, you need to make sure that you fit into one of the requirements as they're outlined in the NOC, and especially under the new tier system that we now have. Number 10, not getting proper immigration advice or solutions. Many students get advice from other students that are most likely not qualified or who could be following bad advice. Then there's the internet, which may or may not be accurate or applicable to your situation. It's essential to seek out professional advice from reputable sources, whether they be at the school or somebody who knows what they're talking about and is licensed to do so. And make sure that you have a personalized plan that considers not only what's happening now in the immigration system, but also takes into account and has the flexibility for the future so that you can adapt. Now, there you have it. These are some of the most common mistakes international students make in or on their way to Canada. It's crucial to plan and stay organized throughout your studies and set yourself up for success, but also to be fully aware of your whole objective and make it happen. Being a student in Canada means much more than learning in the classroom, as you can grow personally and professionally while meeting your immigration goals. And again, I want to thank you for spending your time with me. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you can get some more great content and about everything immigration and settlement and doing well in Canada, while at the same time, I would love to hear your comments below. All right, see you in the next video.